Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm Andrea and this is A View for All. Hi guys, welcome to my Backyard Blossoms paint class. It's going to be a nice little cottage with pink trees in the yard, in the backyard, and a little bit of water going through with a blue sky and big clouds and some flowering shrubs and things here and there. So I hope you enjoy. Make sure you leave a comment below to let me know how it went, and let's get started. First, we're going to take a wide brush, and it's just a flat wide brush. And I'm using the three primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue, and then black and white. And I'll show you how to mix everything. So we're going to take our wide brush and we're going to pick up blue and white to mix up a really nice sky blue color. So we have a nice sky blue color mixed up. It's loaded with lots of paint on here. We're going to go across the top, starting out at the top. And just keep working your brush back and forth with the blue paint. And I'm going to pick up more just blue and add this at the very, very top. Then I'm going to come back and pick up just white. And with the white, I'm going to start out right at the bottom here, where I last left off with the blue, and I didn't rinse my brush. I still have blue on my brush, so it's going to mix in with this white paint as you put it on there and lighten up your sky as you come down. I love the darker at the top, and then it gradually gets lighter as it comes down sky. It just looks so natural and really draws the eye in. So I'm going to pick up some more white. I'm not rinsing my brush. I'm just pulling this blue color down into the rest of the canvas. And blend it till you're happy with it. So now I'm just picking up just white. And I'm going to be putting in the clouds. So I'm starting off over here with a circular shape. And then I'm putting another one here and another one here. And then just kind of connecting them. And that wet blue paint is going to mix in with the white a lot. So it's going to really make your clouds kind of blend into the background. So you might have to put a bit of white. What you want is the very tops of your clouds to be real bright, like the sun is hitting them real strong at the very top. It's a nice summer day, the sun's out, shining on those big clouds. And then I go across the bottom a little, just back and forth, kind of round out the bottom with a little white there. And that's a nice little subtle white cloud. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to make a little bit of a different cloud. It's going to be a little higher, but the same concept. Up high in the center, and then on either side there's a shorter one. And then you can go back and put another shorter one and another shorter one. And then I picked up just white, and I'm just swirling it around to lighten up the bottom of this cloud. Now, I rinse my brush off, and if you have a fan brush, it really helps with the tops of these clouds. So you kind of treat them like a bush or a tree. You take white, you load it on your fan brush, And then you highlight by dabbing it, just dabbing it around the shape of the cloud. Just dabbing that white on there. And then over here, you want to follow that mound shape at the top of the cloud. And you come right in, cut right into that cloud there. See how that cuts right in there? That looks natural, that looks good. Don't worry about it just being a perfect outline. You can come in and go over some of this cloud right into the center to lighten it up. So we want the top to be really white up here. And then we want the bottom to be brighter. See there? The middle, that can be dark. You actually want a little bit of shadowing in the center of your cloud. It's just to bring out that white highlight on the cloud, because without that dark part on the cloud, you wouldn't notice the white highlight at the top. It would all just be white. It wouldn't have that billowing effect. So I'm just rounding out the shape at the top of the cloud with the white. Just kind of letting it come into the cloud a little bit as I dab that white on there. Right at the top, the blue really takes it and blends it in while it's wet. But you do want it wet so it does some blending. It helps out with a nice soft cloud. And then you can kind of scallop the bottom of this one if you want, just so it looks a little different. There. Now I'm going to take some more white and make a few more clouds down here. So I'm kind of doing the wish wash thing with my brush. This side over here doesn't matter too much because there's going to be big pink trees over that area. So this area doesn't really matter too much. Don't pay too much attention to the sky or background over here. The trees are going to go right over most of it. So now we're going to mix up a purple color for our mountains in the distance. So I'm mixing up blue and red. And I actually didn't even rinse my fan brush off. So there's a little white in there to lighten it up. So I've got blue with a little red to make a purplish color, light purple. All right, so the mountains in the distance are going to be lighter and more bluish purpley color because there's a lot of water vapor in the air between you and a far distance mountain. So it's going to take on a much lighter color than a mountain that would be close up would. So I'm going to start off over here with the one. And then another one over here. Dip your brush in the water if you need to help it smooth out better. The water really makes it flow nicer. Then as you get closer, we're going to pick up a little bit of yellow and add the yellow color into the purple color that you have. So it's red and blue for purple with a little bit of yellow mixed in. This should give you a kind of a brownish mountain. So this mountain is going to be right in the middle there. So there's a little bit of green and red in there. The green and red cancel each other out and neutralize each other, so you get kind of a brownish mountain. So that mountain wouldn't be real detailed because it's not real close up. So it's still kind of browned out. Another one over there. But as they get closer, they get darker and clearer what's on them. I'll just do a little one over here. Probably will end up not even seeing it after the trees are on. Now, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of yellow and highlight the tops of the mountains here, like the sun is shining right there. Look at that. Nice. And on this side, you can always pick up just pure yellow and add it into that color and really make it look like vibrant sunlit grass, fields on the mountain. At the base of the mountain, it gets a little bit darker, and blue is a great shadow color. So you can take some blue and blend it in with the bottom of these mountains. And that becomes the shadow at the base of the mountains. And then you can go over this with trees and different things, but the blue kind of anchors the mountains down at the base. Kind of adds that shadow to them. And it doesn't have to be this vibrant of blue. But I'll show you what we're going to do next. Now, we're going to put in some trees in the distance. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of blue on my fan brush, and then I'm going to mix in a little black. So I'm taking blue and black on my fan brush, and there's a really tall tree right about here. So I'm going to put the very peak of the tree in there, and then as I come down, I'm just kind of going back and forth a little bit with my fan brush. And as you get to the base, make it wider and wider. And if you need to go back in and fill in any areas, go ahead and fill in some areas. Once you have that on there, that's an evergreen. So you can pick up a little bit of white if you want to kind of highlight a little bit down the stem and out on some of the branches with a little white. Make sure you skip a spot. You don't want getting blobs. So now I'm going to rinse my brush. And then I'm going to mix some yellow with a little bit of blue, just a little bit. This gives you a really vibrant green color. So with this color, I'm making a rounded tree, so I'm taking the fan brush and kind of going back and forth, but it's going to be in more of a mounded shape at the top than we did the evergreen. So I'm kind of coming around like a mound. And then I'm going to pick up some white and just highlight here and there on this light green tree, just to lighten it up. Just at the top. You don't want to go all the way to the bottom. The very tops are the lightest and brightest because that's where the sun is shining on them. And then it kind of tapers off towards the bottom. So I'm going to pick up some blue. I'm not even rinsing my brush off. Picking up some blue and a little bit of black. So a little blue and a little black. And now we're going to come over from here. We're going to put in another mounded tree. One here And then we're gonna put in a really, really big one right here. So I'm dabbing and depositing this darker color as the foundational color. Then, I didn't rinse my brush because most of the paint came off of it when I was dabbing it here. I'm picking up just yellow. I didn't rinse the brush. And once again, you want to concentrate on the very tops, and as you come down, you skip a spot and go back and forth, kind of wish-wash as you're dabbing the yellow on, and it creates this great tree effect. Looks like greenery on a tree when you do that. Isn't that nice? Little trick Bob Ross used to use all the time. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that there because that's dark, because we're gonna start bringing brighter trees into the foreground pretty soon. So I'm gonna rinse my brush off. And then I'm going to take a little bit of white with a tiny bit of red to make it like a pinkish color, and you don't have to mix it fully. So I'm gonna dab just a little back and forth with this pink color to put in a little bit of a pink bush right there. And then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna put some more, I kind of fanned as I dabbed, fanned around. And it makes this cool bush looking thing in the distance. You might get something completely different. But if you use the colors and you dab with the fan brush, you're gonna get something that looks kind of like greenery. Just play around with it to get comfortable with the technique. One thing though, you don't want to dab right next to each other, because you're just gonna get a big blob and it's gonna be a mess, and you won't know how to fix it unless you really understand. Let it dry, come back and put bright yellow, and if you need to, put dark shadows back into it. That's how you would save a tree that's lost from blobbage. All right, so we're gonna come in, I'm gonna rinse my brush, and then I'm going to put in some black. So I'm going back to my wide brush, picked up black, and I'm picking up a bunch of yellow with the black on my brush. And with this, I'm starting out below these distant trees that I made, and I'm just coming across and letting the black and yellow kind of mix on its own to create this nice shadow before we put our cottage in there. So I'm just letting this black and yellow mix, but not over mixing it. I'm just wiping across and letting that dark and light kind of blend to make its own shadows and highlights. It's real nice because you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. You just spread that paint on and it kind of does its own thing. So you don't want to over mix it. You want those highlights and shadows in there. So we're gonna choose our areas of land that come over. So we're gonna put the very bottom, I'm gonna make dark. I like dark, dark, dark at the edges and the bottom. This is where we're gonna add some little flowers in here. And the dark really brings them out nice. Okay, so there's gonna be a piece of land that comes up here. Then this is gonna come over here. And another piece of land comes out over here. And then back here is another one. And this right here, I'm just gonna fill in with that dark at the base. Okay. Now, on this side, all of this in here is going to be water. So this is the other bank. So you're going to take dark and come down along this bank. And I like to break the line up a little bit while I have the dark on my brush, because the bank is going to create a shadow into the water. So it's not going to be just a straight, smooth white line. So I turn my brush sideways and just come over a little bit to create this shadow on this side of the bank where the shadow side is. Okay. So we have 3 different land masses coming out over the water. And then this comes straight down, and then you just kind of zigzag back and forth with your brush. Turn sideways. Now, I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm picking up just yellow. And I'm going to go right in. This black is still wet. So as I'm spreading this yellow out, my brush is picking up on this wet black paint and blending it into the yellow and making it look like a real nice natural grass color. I don't like mixing blue and yellow together to make grass all the time because I feel like it doesn't look natural enough. It's kind of like this color back here or this color here. I like the khakier color, the black with the yellow mixed in with it. I think it just gives a much more natural looking yard, kind of. So I'm going to come across from this side with black, so I picked up just black. And I'm coming in from the side and soften up as you come in with it. If you have to turn it sideways to break it up a little bit, you can do that. Just want to darken this edge over here so that your eye goes into this highlighted area. Now, we're going to work on the little cottage, and it's the back of the cottage, so there's no door and there's not really a window. I'm taking the wide brush, I rinsed it off. I'm picking up white, and then I'm going to dip it into a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. And I'm mixing it I'm just kind of pressing just to get some of the colors kind of mixed. But if you could see, they're not fully mixed on here. There's different colors in here. So we're going to come down. I'm going to do the side of the building first. So it's going to start here and go down into the grass. So we're just going to press and pull straight down. Don't worry about the bottom. That's going to be covered in lots of flowers and bushes. So we get all these nice, cool, different little color striation lines, which help out so much with this building, with making it look old. So now I'm going to go into this blue color and white. And now I'm going to kind of make the top of the roof line just so I can see for reference where it's at. So over here is the roof line. It comes up to that peak there in the center. So I'm going to turn my brush at an angle and then come straight down. I know it's a little difficult, but follow the angle of the roof and then just come straight down. And the paint underneath is probably going to be wet still. And you're going to be pulling all those great colors down into your cottage. That is what you want. So that's perfect. I love it. I love all the different colors in there. It looks like old boards and things. So we're gonna pick up black. And I'm going to take the brush and dab the black up along that roof line just to really define it. So I'm just dabbing my brush onto that roof line, outlining the shape of it. Then this exact angle, you're gonna come back here. You're going to follow that exact same angle that the front is at. You see it's the exact same line here and here. So you're gonna go up and you're gonna come straight across and connect those two lines that are going the exact same way at the same angle, and you connect the top, and that is the back of, or the roof of your shed. So I've got black on my brush, and now I'm going to dip in red. So I have black and then red, and now I'm dipping into white, just like that. And now I'm going to start dabbing this back and forth across the roof, so it's giving it texture on the roof. Flip my brush. So I'm just dabbing and dabbing and dabbing until I'm happy with the texture that's on the roof. It kind of gives that appearance of the old shingles. I'm going to take the color that's on there, that little bit of reddish, and I'm just dabbing a little bit on this side to give it that color on that side of the cottage. Now, I'm going to rinse my brush off. Now I'm going to pick up a smaller tapered brush. This is what I'm going to work on, kind of tightening up the roof line a little bit. So I'm putting in a shadow line underneath where the roof is with black. So I'm just picking up black and going up under the roof line with the black. And then across, straight across this one here. And then I'm just bringing a little bit of that dark into this peak here. Now, while I have that black on here, I'm going to start putting, there's going to be a bush right here, which actually helps with the angle. It kind of covers up if you got your angles off. So I'm just dabbing this black onto the canvas next to your little cottage. So think of it like a big rhododendron tree right next to your cottage, kind of growing out up and around, spreading out over the side. So I'm going to pick up some more black, and I'm going to do another little bush here. It's going to be smaller. I'm just dab, 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 and it makes a nice little texture in there. We're going to go over it with some highlights next. And let's bring this up here. This will be greenery on this side. Now, I rinse my brush and I pick up my fan brush, and we're going to get some red and mix in some white, and you don't have to fully mix it, just enough so that you get something like that. So I'm going to put this, now we're gonna dab, 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 wishy-washy right here at the corner to give it some really nice bright pink flowers coming out of that bush. And then I'm gonna take some of this and go behind over here on this side. And remember, you taper off a little bit towards the bottom. So it's brighter at the top and tapered off at the bottom. Now I rinsed my brush off and I'm picking up just yellow. And I'm gonna highlight this tree that's over here next to it with the yellow. And then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna pretend that there's a bush right here. So I'm dabbing in this bush in that dark area. And you can pick up a little bit of black and blue and come up underneath that with this black and blue to darken your bush, to really give it that shadow underneath. Put a round bush in here, so I'm taking just black and I'm putting in a rounded bush right here. And I'm going to pick up red. And just dab it on the top of the black. So you get a really nice maroon type bush right there. And while you have that on there, you can even come down here and dab a couple red dots down at the bottom part to start your little flowers here. That kind of gives the illusion of flowers. Now, I rinsed my fan brush. And I'm grabbing my taper brush. And I'm just picking up some white and putting in a couple white flowers. I'm just dabbing it on here and there. And it is going to mix with your wet paint too. So here's some more over here. Maybe a couple around the house with a couple white dabs here and there. Down here at the base, the bottom. And then I'm picking up blue. So I'm just going to put a couple blue flowers in here. And while I have that blue on my taper brush, I'm going to add a little bit of blue into our water area. And I'm concentrating more in this shadowy area where the land comes out. Because that's where the shadow would be, so it would be darker there. Like a darker blue color. And then I'm coming over here to this shadow side. brush off. Now, we're gonna be doing the trees. So you're gonna mix water into black. So you wanna get a decent amount of water into your black just to make it really fluid for you. And we're gonna start out over here on this bank. We're gonna put one tree here. So when I come up, I kind of twist my brush back and forth to give it that natural, gnarly kind of shape in a tree. So I'm just twisting it a little bit, and this is just one side of the tree. And then I'm coming over to the other side and twisting. So I usually go about where the top of the trunk splits off. That's a little trick that I like to do. In the center, as it comes up, it Y's off into two different directions. Your tree is always going to be bigger at the base and taper off to be smaller and smaller up on the branches. So I'm just pulling this out, twisting my brush back and forth a little to give it that little natural twist to the branches. And it works better if your paint is fluid enough, if it's watered down enough. And we're going to be putting all kinds of pink flowers on top of it. So don't worry too much about these branches here. They are going to get really covered. So the base flares out into the ground. And then we're going to skip a spot and follow the bank up and do another tree. And it flares out at the bottom. Twisting back and forth. And then we're gonna skip a spot, and this is just black with water in it. You want the trunks to be a little different. Each one that you put in there is going to be a little different, because we're always a little different in nature. Sometimes the brush just goes where it wants to, and you've got to let it. And then this last one I like to do kind of out over the water a little. If you feel more comfortable switching to a smaller brush, you can do that. If it seems easier, you can use a little bit of a smaller brush as you come up for the smaller branches. Now, while you have the black on your brush, you're going to mimic the shape of your tree down here in the water. And you're going to kind of let it taper off down here as the reflection gets further away, kind of dissipates, fades away. And then you're going to rinse your brush. Now, we're going to start putting the flowers on the tree. So first we're going to mix up the darker shadow color, and that's kind of like a dark purple color. So you're going to pick up red and blue, and you're going to mix that, and that's going to give you a nice purpley color. And it doesn't have to be fully mixed all the way. This is just for our shadowing. So with this, you're gonna skip a spot every so often because we're gonna go over it with white and pink and all kinds of other colors. So you just want to deposit some of that dark shadow on there. So it's kind of like almost in clusters of dark purple here and there. There. So the darkest is going to be, you know, mostly at the bottom of the trees. So I'm rinsing my brush off. Then you're going to pick up white and red, and you're going to mix it together, and it's going to give you this dark pink color. With this color, you're going to start out at the top, and I'm doing the wish wash, just a little bit, skip a spot. The very tops of the trees are going to be the fullest part of the tree. So the very tops, they have pretty condensed blossoms up there. And I'm picking up just white now with the pink already on the brush. And just dabbing the white on the very tops and kind of bringing it into that pink color just a little bit. Come down here a little bit here and there to add some of that floral greenery, well, pinkery. Some of the branches down low a little bit. And add a little red in here for just to break up the color a little bit. Now, while you have the pink color on your brush, I want you to come down into the water area and just deposit some of it. You don't want it to be solid, just a line here and there with this pink color, because you don't want to lose that blue that you put in there, but you do want to deposit some of this blossom color into your water. So just a little bit here and there. I'm rinsing my brush. Now I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white, and I'm just coming down along this bank and highlighting with just a little bit of white, just so you can see where that water starts. And and then come across, lightly pull it straight across. Now I'm going to take my brush with white on it, and I'm just dabbing to highlight these little mounds here. There's one here. And one back here. So I'm highlighting it with white. Then I go back in with yellow, just pure yellow, and I'm dabbing that in with that white there. And you can kind of taper it off up towards the cottage. But this is just gonna put in a lot of texture into your ground. And now that you're down here, you can put in a couple little areas where there's like little bushes, just a little bit into that dark area. Maybe there's a little bit of greenery coming out onto the water area a little, just to blend the area in. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue, and this blue I'm dabbing at the bottom of my trees because this is a shadow color. Blue is great for shadows. And then I'm turning my brush sideways and just putting a tiny little bit of that blue color on this back side of these trees to put in a nice shadow. And I'll go back in with the blue to put some shadows back into this bank here too. The bottom of this. See how it makes a nice shadowy color? The base. A little bit of black to tone it down. Now, I have black on my brush, my fan brush. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna add a vibrant yellow hyacinth. So I put in black lines, kind of fanned out, like dab, 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 dab. And now I'm loading my brush. I rinsed my brush and I'm loading it with bright yellow. So I'm just kind of dabbing it on in a fan shape to really bring out that bright yellow plant, tree, shrub. So I'm just dabbing that yellow into the yard just to add a little bit of texture. And if you want to add a little extra charm to your little cottage here, you can even have ivy going up the side. I just loaded my brush with black, and I'm dabbing up the corner, the edge of the cottage with these little black dabs, and then come out every so often like that, and then over to this side a little bit. And then you pick up yellow, so I wiped the black off, and then you just dab over it with a little bit of yellow to highlight it by the sun. And that will put greenery going up the side of the house. If you want to add a little bit of blue on this side, since it's the shadowy side, there. Nice. Little blue down here too. I'm going a little more white on top of my trees. I'm going to mix up a little bit more pink for the top of the trees. I really want that nice light pink springtime look up there. I'm going to skip a spot and then come down here. So I'm leaving this dark area in just to give it that nice shadow, to give it dimension. So you want to have like little clusters of pink leaves. Almost like little mini bushes on top of your tree. Adding a deep pink, almost red color in to give it some more vibrancy back. So I'm skipping spots. You notice I'm not right next to each other with the same colors over and over again. We're leaving some shadow in there, highlighting. Have a few come down here and there. Now, if you get carried away and you need to add a few more branches back in, just to break up the blobs a little bit, you can go back in with a small taper brush and your black and just put some branches back in there, here and there. And then I'm picking up white and just kind of dabbing at the tops of these black lines to make it look like there's a cluster of blossoms right there covering. Helps those branches blend in back into the tree. that. Nice. Now I'm going to just take a little bit of this pink color that I have and mix in some yellow. So you get a nice warm, kind of like an orangey color. And I'm just hitting these sides of the tree just a little bit to highlight. So we put blue on the other side, and now on this side we're putting a little bit of an orange color. So it looks like that sun is hitting the trees from that side. Now we're going to take that orange color, add more yellow to it. So you're going to get a warm yellowy orangey color, and just lightly just kind of put a little bit of orange here and there to break up that color in the yard so it doesn't all look the exact same. Just even on the highlights of these little land mounds, you can put a little bit of that yellowy orangey color, like the sun is highlighting it. Just a little. Look at that. Really nice. Maybe even a little up here in the yard. One more thing. Let's put a little bush here. That would be nice. Okay. And now I'm just going to take my fan brush, dip it into some white, and I'm just going to go keep it sideways and go down the center of the water just lightly, putting this white on the water just a little bit closer to this side here, just depositing a little of that white like that. Little dabs of some light red here and there, and then I'm picking up a little yellow for a little bit of orangish color here and there. You don't even really have to look like anything specifically when you're real close, as long as it gives the illusion of different colors of flowers that you have around the yard. Little white ones. Nice. One last thing, I'm going to highlight right across with just white, just across the very top and down the side. And then I'm taking my dry brush and pulling it down a little bit and then over. just adding some dark back in here, putting some black on my fan brush, and adding a little bit of dark back to the very bottom, just in case I put too many flowers down there. I'm going to put a couple bushes in there. So I just took black and now I'm going to pick up some blue and I'm turning it to the side, so I'm just going to dab on some blue into these black mounds, into the black bushes. So I'm just dabbing blue here and there. I'm going to rinse my brush because there's probably black paint on it now. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and mix a little bit of blue into your white, so you have a baby blue color. And then I'm going to go back in and dab some lighter blue in here. I'm going to make it look like hydrangea bushes. And there it is, backyard blossoms. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you're subscribed to the channel so you can get future paint classes from me for free. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.